Jesus must have been exhausted. The whole city had gathered around the door, pressing in to see him. He had just begun his ministry, but the demands on him were already piling up. He cured many who were sick, cast out demons, and taught constantly. And his disciples didn't help matters. When he left early in the morning to pray, they went searching for him. And when they found him, they said, "What are you doing? Everyone is searching for you." Now, does that part sound familiar? Many of us feel that way. We can't stop. We can't take a moment for ourselves. We live in a high-tech, fast-paced, workaholic world where no one rests. We're constantly on the road, running errands, going places. We stuff ourselves with fast food, overbook our lives with a myriad of things to do, and at the end of the day, we are totally exhausted. We live and die by the clock. Time is money, they say. We resist quiet time by keeping the radios, iPods, televisions, and computers on. The very thought of being alone, praying, scares us to death. How can we find peace when everyone and everything is searching for us, wanting a piece of us, demanding our time? We can do what Jesus did. Go to a deserted place and pray. Notice the time he prayed too, before the sun even rose, before the world came rushing at him. Thomas G. Long describes the experience of that kind of prayer. He wrote, "There is nothing more tempting than a lonely place. A lonely place where phones do not ring and loud voices all shouting at once do not compete for our attention. A lonely place where we can hear ourselves think, feel our own calmed breathing, rediscover the inner rhythms which seek in vain to regulate our lives. A lonely place where we can listen to the wind rippling through the trees, or perhaps to the full and wise sound of stillness. A lonely place free from the cant of television and the condemnation of calendars. A place of tranquil rest and blessed retreat. There is nothing more tempting than a lonely place." And in the morning, Mark tells us, a great while before day, Jesus rose and went out to a lonely place, and there he prayed. There's a story from World War II. After the Battle of the Bulge, a German officer described the capture of an American unit early in the fighting. This unit had in its possession a box containing a cake. What was remarkable about the cake is that it had been sent to an American soldier from Boston, and it was still fresh. This German officer describes his feelings when he realized that the Americans had the resources to fly over cakes from home, even in the midst of a global war. He said that he knew then that they would never defeat an enemy that had such resources for the battle. Well, you and I have an infinite resource for waging life's battles, if only we make room for it. It's time alone with God. It's one-on-one contact with the creator and sustainer of life. Jesus knew that. He was always trying to slip away to be by himself. He knew how important prayer is. You see, when we get tired, we pull into ourselves. We get selfish. It's a defense mechanism because we don't have anything more to give. Jesus couldn't keep going, couldn't keep caring for people, keep emptying himself for others without refilling his cup. And if Jesus, the Word incarnate, the Son of God, needed to pray, then how much more do we? We need to refill our cup. Prayer is more than just one more thing to do. We need to refill our cup. It's time with God and in God. When Jesus went out to a deserted place to pray, that enabled him to carry on. It wasn't one more thing, it was the thing that made everything else possible. He needed time alone, yes, but more importantly, he needed time with God. He needed the spiritual renewal and refreshment that God can only give. A father took his small son out for lunch one day. They ordered, and when the waiter brought the food, the father said, "Son, let's have a silent prayer." And Dad got through praying first and waited for the boy to finish his prayer, but he sat with his head bowed for an unusually long time. When he finally looked up, his father asked him, "What in the world were you praying about all that time?" And with the innocence and honesty of a child, he replied, "How do I know? It was a silent prayer." But God knew what he was praying for. God knows what's in our hearts, and God knows our needs even before we do. God gives us our daily bread, whatever we need to face another day. That's what our first reading was about. God gave Israel what they needed, and their needs sound familiar. When Israel was defeated, uprooted, and isolated, the prophet Isaiah spoke. "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the one who sits above the circle of the earth and stretches out the heavens before them." When Israel was weary with all it burdened it, but violence had torn the nation, when it seemed like they couldn't go on, the prophet spoke. "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord does not faint or grow weary." When everyone and everything is searching for you, wanting a piece of you and demanding your time, the prophet speaks. "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord gives power to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles." When you can't catch your breath between work, shopping, ball games, house cleaning, yard work, preparing meals, getting ready to do it all over again tomorrow, the prophet speaks. "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. You shall run and not be weary. You shall walk and not faint." And don't miss the end of our gospel reading. After he prayed, not only was Jesus ready to go back to Capernaum, he said, "Let us go on to the neighboring towns, so that I may proclaim the message there also. For that is what I came out to do." Now that's the Jesus we know and love, because he prayed. You have an infinite resource for your life's battle, if you only take the time to receive it. Take some time to pray with Jesus. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Amen.